All right. Uh, my good friend Marc Victor is here. For those of you that don't know, he's one of the greatest criminal defense attorneys alive. I get to embarrass him, although I don't know if he's embarrassable, frankly. But he uses a bulldog, or at least he did, for his little mascot. And that actually is a great mascot for him, because he is a voracious bulldog. And he'd be definitely the criminal defense attorney I would seek out and have, actually, when it's your turn to basically enjoy the comforts of a police car and maybe a jail cell. He's a former Marine. I think that's what you call Marines. They're never, okay. What is it? Yes, I know. And actually he's got some interesting stories about that, but I don't think he'll be talking about that today. He came here today to discuss his baseline killer story, and he's got other stories that maybe he'll get into as well. The baseline killer story is an interesting, frankly it's a conspiracy. I don't think he can get into that, but or a cover-up much. But looking at the stuff that we posted online in Freedom of Speech, there's clearly documents that are missing. There's clearly documents that point to other documents that are going to show that there's some good guys in the government, and there's some bad guys in the government, or at least some incompetent ones, and then bad guys who are basically trying to cover their asses. So I'm not very good at introduction, so without anything more, I'm going to turn it over to my defense attorney, Marc Victor.
Set this thing up for a short guy. Oh, right there's one. You guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of early, a little tired, not ready to yell yet. That'll take about 3 more minutes before I get pumped up. Anyway, my name is Marc Victor. I'm a criminal defense attorney. Been a criminal defense attorney for the past 16 years. I have my own law firm in Chandler. We do cases all over the state, do cases out of state. We do actually more now than just criminal defense. I guess I'll spend a second on that because there's something interesting in there. You guys, of course, know Ernie Hancock. Is there anybody who doesn't know Ernie Hancock? I was going to say, boy, who's the lucky one here? But actually, Ernie and I have been friends forever, and he was one of the first libertarians I ever met in Arizona. Actually, we kind of have an interesting story about that. I came, some of you probably have heard of Butler Schaefer. Show of hands if you heard of Butler Schaefer. Oh, good. Everybody here knows Butler. You guys probably know Butler mostly because of me, because I went to law school at Southwestern, and it was Butler Schaefer who changed me from just an ordinary, maybe Rush Limbaugh conservative, just garden variety type conservative, or I would say maybe pretend conservative given the conservative position. He sort of took my brain out, rearranged it, and put it back in, and I came out a really super hardcore libertarian. And so, you know, I came to Arizona looking for some other hardcore libertarians. By the way, when I say libertarian, I'm not referring to the political party, the Libertarian political party. I don't know if there are any real libertarians in the Libertarian Party. There may be 1 or 2. I know Kielski's here somewhere, and I count him among real libertarians. But I don't know. I mean, so that's, I guess, debatable. But I'm talking small L, really hardcore, pro-freedom libertarians, people who I consider men of peace, like me. So Ernie and I met, and I went to a big L libertarian meeting, and they were debating school vouchers, you know, trying to get the government to hand out these little, you know, to take your money and then dole some of it back with a little coupon that you could go to school and stuff. And I was just so angry about that. I was like, why are you taking why wouldn't you just say the government and schools ought to have absolutely nothing to do with each other. Complete separation of school and state. And then I thought, well, why not just complete separation of everything in state? I mean, that's really my position. I like that a lot better. So I was really, my first conversation with Ernie was one where I was sort of beating on him for taking a compromised position. Of course, those of you who know that Ernie just stood there and smiled and just took it and said, I like this guy. So that's kind of how Ernie and I met. But in any event, one of the things that used to bother me and Ernie was that as we do these little libertarian projects here and there, we did lots of things over the years, there were constantly what we would perceive to be civil rights violations. You know, police officers out of control, or the government out of control, or just things going on that we wanted to take action, but each time, you know, I would say, well, you know, it's not criminal defense. You know, I'm happy to represent people when they are charged with a crime, but civil rights not really my area. So I used to always back off those cases, and it was really frustrating to me to not be able to take those cases and just really stick it to the man when the man need to have it stuck too. So recently I've decided to expand my firm, and that's one of the areas that we are doing aggressively. So I was actually giving a speech at ASU to some students the other night, and I was going through some cases we're doing, and it just seemed like each case ended with the same type of, well, guess where we're going now? And by the end they were saying, federal court. That's where they go. So we got a bunch of cases in federal court now, and I'm really enjoying taking these civil rights cases. I've got 3 other lawyers at my firm besides me, so a total of 4 lawyers now. And we do mostly, really mostly everything. We're doing commercial litigation, and we're doing personal injury and wrongful death, but lots of civil rights stuff, and I really like that stuff. That doesn't mean every civil rights violation is a worthy case. Some are, some aren't. But if you do hear of some type of a civil rights violation, you want to run it by us, it's the kind of thing that we would certainly consider taking and may actually take, because we've got a bunch of them going on now. And we're also doing some business litigation and estate planning and some bankruptcy, lots of bankruptcies going on now. So anyways, that's a little bit about me, a little bit about my firm. My favorite case right now is the baseline killer case. Everybody, and I'm going to talk about that, but really, I think the baseline killer case is very much related to most of the things that I've been saying about the justice system since I've been involved in the justice system as a criminal defense attorney, which is about 16 years. Paul, is there any water around? I'd love you forever if you could get me some water. Thank you. I'll like you forever. Strong like. You know, I've been making the case for 16 years as forcefully as I possibly can that the drug war is not just immoral and disgusting and unconstitutional, but a huge waste of resources. And you know, I think we can. And not only that, it's un-American as well. And I don't say that lightly. And so all these things I think are true. And we've been making the argument that you know, the drug war needs to end. And I've been sort of illustrating this through crazy cases that I've been taking. And I could talk about one today, maybe really fast, the Jeff Smith case. I thought that was one I called Ernie on. Some of you may or may not know. And by the way, Fox News is going to do a little story on this. They've already come down with the cameras, and they filmed me, and they filmed Jeff at Jeff's house. And that's going to run maybe this week, maybe next week, I don't know. We'll probably send an email around, and I'm sure it'll be on Freedom's Phoenix once it comes out. But real fast overview of this case. Jeff Smith is a guy, and by the way, he's gone to the press, and he's given me permission to talk about this case, and that's why I took the case, because he wanted to make a statement. Jeff comes into my office one day. He's about 60 years old, no priors, no problems. He says, Mark, I've been smoking pot my entire life, really, since I was about 15, pretty much every day. And he's led a very successful life. He's worked for a big company, upper management, is with the same woman for many, many years, no problems. The guy's great. Everybody loves the guy. Thank you very much. And one night, he's in his house with a buddy of his, and it's about midnight, and his air conditioning's not doing so well, so he opens his window, and he takes a fan, and he's blowing the air outside. Big mistake. And he's on his computer, and he's playing online poker or something with his buddy. He's having a great time, and he's smoking a joint in his house about midnight. And hound-nosed police officers walks out of the police officer substation about maybe an eighth of a mile away, just next to Jeff Smith's community where he lives, and gets a whiff of what he believes to be marijuana. So instead of getting in his police car and going to look for real bad guys, what does he do? He's got to get to the bottom of who could possibly be smoking marijuana. So hey, how's it going? So he goes down this big long walk, and he comes into the community, and it's sort of a townhome type of a community where there's lots of places where people live and a bunch of buildings. And he walks all through, and the scent's getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and finally he smells it, and he looks into Jeff's window. He comes up to the bushes, and he looks inside, and there it is. An American citizen smoking a joint peacefully inside his home. Not being able to bear the thought of this horrible crime going unpunished, he takes his flashlight and he raps on the window, and he orders Jeff and his buddy, go open the front door. I said, Jeff, why'd you open the front door, man? What were you thinking? You know, he says, I actually gave you a really good answer. He says, I was high, man. I wasn't really thinking that great. I'm in my house, I'm chilling, I'm high. I said, all right, I'll give you a free pass. So he opens the front door, and there's Officer Friendly. And Officer Friendly says, come on out. Jeff comes out, and he starts talking to Jeff, and he says, were you smoking marijuana in there? Jeff says, yeah, I was. You're under arrest. Puts Jeff in cuffs, sits him down outside, and then he says, and this everybody agrees on this, I'm going to go inside, and he says, do you have marijuana inside? Any more marijuana inside? He says, yes, I do. And the officer says, well, I'm going to go inside and search for the marijuana. Would you like to accompany me inside for the search? Jeff says to me, he says, well, my wife's in there, and my house is in there. I'm not going to sit outside on the sidewalk here while this guy's rummaging through my stuff. So he says, okay, I'll accompany you into the house. So Jeff stands up with his hands behind his back. The officer opens the front door, walks in. Jeff walks in behind him as the officer searches through all of his stuff, takes out his flashlight, opens up his desk drawers, opens up this, that, and the next thing, turns over everything, and there it is. Finds a little bag of green leafy substance called marijuana, takes Jeff out. What does he do now? Takes him outside, throws him in the police car, hauls him down to the Scottsdale City Jail, where he books him into the jail, takes all the booking information. This is midnight, right? For smoking weed in your home peacefully. No kids around, no sales, nothing like that. And after he gets in all the information, processes the case, he then cuts Jeff loose, and Jeff goes home, never hearing another thing about it until a year and a half later, where he receives a summons in the mail, courtesy of Andrew Thomas. Hello, you're charged with 2 felonies, right? Because everybody gets 2 felonies for smoking a joint, right? There's 2 horrendous crimes there. First, possession of marijuana. Second, possession of drug paraphernalia. And everybody who has marijuana has drug paraphernalia, because drug paraphernalia is in essence anything that's connected in any way to the marijuana. So Jeff gets this summons, and he comes into my office for a consultation, where I charge him $100, as I do everybody else, to give him an evaluation of his case. And what I tell him is what I would tell anybody in his situation. Hey, here's how it works. You really don't need to pay me any money other than the $100. But I'll tell you the truth, which is that they're going to give you something called a task diversion program. And they're going to, as long as you don't smoke pot for 3 months, and they're going to test you to make sure, they'll just dump the case. You don't need me, just go down there and take the task deal, and you're done. He says, hell no. I said, what do you mean? He says, you know, I'm retired now, and I've never made any kind of stand in my life. And damn it, I was in my house smoking a joint. Who the hell is this guy to haul me off to jail? I don't care. I'm not taking any deals. I'm going to trial. Will you try my case? I said, hell yeah, man, you got the right guy. I'm excited. Hold on. Let me make a call. Get on the phone. Hey, Ernie. You know how that went. So Ernie's excited, and I'm excited, and here we go, and it's as Ernie would say, game on.